I've worked with over 50 creative and marketing agencies, and there's one common pattern I see amongst all of my clients I worked with, and they do somewhere between like 50K per year, 500K per year, 10M per year. So I've seen it at all scales. And the major bottleneck I've found is that most companies that I work with have a tool or have multiple tools that aren't connected. So I wanted to create a very in-depth tutorial on how to create the best CRM system for specifically B2B or agencies that is very front-led with agentic workflows, with AI, and we create together from the ground up a full-on CRM system that connects with the Slack, with the email, and everything else. So this is a definitive guide which will be quite comprehensive on connecting Claude Code or using English as a coding language, and then using AI or leveraging agentic workflows to build it for you. So the main goal here is, of course, I'm going to use my expertise that I have found out from working with my own agencies and working with my clients and their backends to build the best possible CRM system in this space. This is what the platform will eventually end up looking like. We will have outreach, we will have finance systems, we will have companies, and we will have contacts. We will have everything that you can essentially need for a CRM system. So watch this, follow along, and you'll eventually end up with something great that connects with all your tools, such as Gmail, Calendar, Slack, whatever you now use. It will be automatically integrated. So stick along because I will share the exact skill I use at the end of the video, where you can download it and use the exact system yourself without having to spend the time to build it on your own. So this will mainly cover, so if we have a branch in here with the main tool being, let's see, the main tool being the CRM system. So if I write CRM here, it will be a couple of branches. The first branch would be, of course, the connecting communication platforms. So that means like Slack, that means Teams, that means emails, or whatever else that you're using. I want this to be very flexible. The second path, of course, is all the CRM pipeline management, the contacts, the companies, the people, and so on. Like the typical stuff that you have with AI. I then want this to be very connected with a particular AI. So I'm going to use Claude in this case. That will basically guide you 24/7 in terms of what to do, who to update, who to talk with, who to send follow-ups with, and so on. And then I basically want this to be the most powerful B2B agency CRM. And the reason why this is particularly important is because most of the platforms out there are not super niche down to the company that you are or working with. So the main thing that we want to focus on is it being one word, and that's custom. That's custom to you, custom as your agency, and be very unique. So that's the main goal. I want this to be very tailored to you, to your problems, to your clients, to your market, and to your tools. So I will cover everything from building the backend, building the front end, and then connecting everything from the start. So like what coding language to use. And as said, you don't have to learn or like know coding. You just need to learn a language. For me, that's it's going to be English. But if your native tongue is something else, that's completely fine. So we're going to be coding in our main language and just talking with AI. So our main tool that we're going to be using today is a tool called Claude Code. And essentially, Claude Code is a tool that allows you to build custom solutions and custom platforms with code. It's going to be pure code. However, we only write in the English language, and we don't know how to use code actually. So if you go back to this, we obviously have to install Claude Code as a terminal in itself. If you haven't used Claude Code or Codex, which is like ChatGPT version of Claude, then obviously we need to install it. So the thing we're going to navigate here is, of course, how to install the platform. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to go into a platform on where we can run it. In this case, I run my Claude Code in a terminal, which is, or like an interface. The interface is called VS Code. So you can see how this looks like very pretty. You have like different agents, you have all of these buttons and so on the side, and this is like an interface. So imagine that you're downloading Chrome as a browser. And then within Chrome, you use Google to search. But within Chrome, you can also use Yahoo search, or you can use Bing search, or like Microsoft Edge and so on. It's fundamentally the same thing. You use a terminal to write and to use the AI in. And I'm going to use the more popular one, which is VS Code. VS Code, in my opinion, is like the Chrome of the web browsers. Now, there's some people who use Firefox and so on, but that's besides the point. So we're going to search for VS Code on the internet. And here I want you to just like understand, if you're using Linux, if you're using Windows, doesn't really matter. It works for all platforms. So you're going to go into VS Code, which basically stands for Visual Studio Code. And we're going to pick the model that we currently use, if that is Windows, if that's Linux, or if that's Mac. Pick one and download it. Very straightforward. Of course, there's Apple Silicon chips, so the M chips or the Intel chips. Once you have it downloaded, it will look something like this. Or of course, it will be something more like this. It'd be a terminal. So you need to open the terminal space, and it has to be empty. So you have like a terminal here. They're going to open, I think it's Command J on Mac to open this. And here we're going to install Claude Code. So the agentic workflow that we build for us. How do we find Claude Code? Well, we search for it. So we search for Claude Code installation. We will find the top documents here. And here we will find how to actually download it. We have for Mac, Linux, we have for Windows, and so on. And this might look very complicated and overwhelming, like what curl and like bash, and what does that mean? And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to understand how to code. You don't have to understand anything of the technical jargon or like anything similar. All you need to do is just take this command, press on copy, and then paste this in within the terminal. So in this case, you copy paste this like this, and that's it. It will download it for you and will guide you step by step on how to do it. It doesn't have to be complicated or anything. You see, setting up Claude Code, installing shell integration, done. What's next? Well, next you run this command here and you start getting it downloaded. It's very straightforward. And then you can see you have it downloaded here with everything here. Download complete. Start an interactive session by default. Use this for, you can see, prompt. And you can just write Claude and it should be installed. Now, I like to run Claude on my own with dangerously script permissions, but you don't have to do this. If I can just open and exit and then open this again. I have like a short command to bypass permissions. So in this case, if I just clear this to make it look empty, okay, if I can do it like this, perfect. So in short, we now have Claude Code installed. However, it might look a bit overwhelming. Some people don't prefer working like this. And there's another option of viewing Claude Code. And that's by pressing the extensions here. Then you navigate to the thing called Claude Code for VS Code. And this is basically like a beginner-friendly interface terminal that you can open through here. You can basically press install. It should be done by Anthropic. Very important to don't download some like weird one. Then you navigate to this Claude Code open, and you can run your Claude Code through this version instead. You see the difference. It's fundamentally the same thing. It's just interface. Some people like to have it like more easy to use. This is also fine. If you want to build your system, it's going to work the exact same way. It's the same thing, same output, same input. It just looks differently. So in this case, you can see you have this and you can just run it through here. I prefer doing it like this because it's easier for me, and this is kind of how I learned it from the first place. So I'm going to run it through here. And the first thing we want to do is give it context and what to do. As said, you don't need coding. I will have all the technical jargon for you so Claude Code can understand the principles. So I want to give some background information and then I will return back to you. I just put in some commands here and I can basically share what I did here. So in short, I said, hey, I want to build a CRM system that connects with my, if I can zoom this in, I think that's perfect. So I want to build, if I just pause this for now, you can see what I wrote. So if I go back here, I want to create a CRM system that I have on my Vercel. Vercel is a platform you host on, and you don't have to worry about this too much. The main goal of the CRM system is to essentially cover all the important parts. I want to connect my Slack, my Gmail, my Google Cloud Console, my Fireflies, and so on. So my meeting note taker, my Google Console, my Gmail, and then I'm going to say also some other things here. You basically want to give some context on what information you want to write on. In this case, I'm going to write, I want to connect my Google Calendar. You can also say what you do, what your service, and so on. My company is flowclick.com. My name is, so you just know some context about me, and so on. So you want to give some back-end information about your company to make this very personal. The entire goal of this video was to make this CRM system with agentic workflows very custom. So I also want to integrate Claude API to give me advice on when to follow up with clients, be up to date with everything, like this, with everything, and so on. That's basically it. So I'm going to let this run. I'm going to run a plan mode so it understands some context. And then I'm going to basically press send. So in this case, I want you to go into Claude Code, give some context, write some things about you, and then essentially just say what you want with this tool. If you use Teams, if you use something else besides Slack, if you use Outlook calendars, make sure to reference that as well. It's going to work the exact same way. So don't worry about like, hey, I use this tool, it's unique to me, or hey, I use like Klaviyo or like Shopify, or you have some e-commerce brand or handling some clients there or doing like meta ads. Give the relevant information to the AI agent so it does understand what's the core principle and the customization of this CRM system. So I'm going to press send here, and then we're going to get back to you once the prompt is going to be done. And I want this to make, of course, a bit realistic. It's going to take time. Obviously, AI has to build this. It has to wait. Might take 5-10 minutes, which obviously isn't that much time, but it will understand the context, and then we'll get back to you once this has been finished running. It now asked me a series of questions like, hey, what do I want to build? I said Claude Advisor, so an AI agentic advisor, CRM data model. I want to have it in like, it's my personal CRM. I'm the user here. I don't sell it, so won't sell this. Should I authenticate to Gmail calendar and so on? I have everything and so on. I basically just give some context on what I want to achieve and what I want to build. And then also I have a very good nugget, which I'm going to share a bit later in terms of interface and how to make this very modern and very nice to use, because I have some existing skills I've used before to make it look premium, to make it look unique, and so on. So I'm going to share this later down the line. And also, of course, I'll share it down below so you can just download it yourself on how to make this very unique, very modern, very clean, instead of having that vibe coded look and so on. So while this runs, I'll come back to you once it has been done, because obviously it has, it's currently building the plan on how to implement it and doing everything for me. As said, all I did here, I don't know coding. I just went and said like some basic stuff like what I want to do. And since I know what framework I want to build with, like Next.js, TypeScript and so on, Tailwind, it's like interface coding language, like how to build it. I prefer, that's for me, it's like the best tag to use for the specific use case. So you don't have to understand that. You just have to understand like the basics here, which like just follow what I do and you can create some pretty good stuff yourself. It has now created me a plan. So what to do, what calendars. So I need Google Calendar, I need Gmail, I need Slack, I need Fireflies, I need Claude Advisor, I need integrations, so logins and so on. So basically goes through everything for me, all keys, so all things it needs to connect in terms of API tokens and so on. And then creates a plan for me to actually build everything out. It does everything automatically. I think it does better to do it like this because it basically plans out everything, so it understands the end goal before it proceeds. And now it's building and kind of going through everything here, building CRM version and so on, and like just building stuff for me. So now this is phase one. You can see we have a full-on plan here on what to build. And yeah, now it's just about the waiting game here, about making this done. 5 minutes currently running, and it goes through everything for me. Now we can clearly see that the build has successfully been done. So it says, okay, done. The full CRM is built, type checks clean, and so on, which essentially means that we have now finished the build or the core principles of the build. Of course, as said, to make it live, your steps, and I have to do this with my own account. So of course, connect everything. That means getting the Supabase up and running. That means connecting with my Anthropic account, connecting my Google, connecting my Slack, connecting my Fireflies, and so on. Then, of course, run the Supabase SQL, which I'm going to show you in a second, and everything else as well to actually run this. So the thing we have to do now is, as said, we have to get my API keys. We have to go into Supabase. So the thing we're going to do here is open the browser, and I want you to sign up to a platform called Supabase. And Supabase is a platform that essentially, let me just see, that essentially stores all of the data within a very secure space. Of course, it's a very popular platform. It's huge, used by millions and millions of people. And you can also run the free account, so you don't have to pay for this. It's not going to cost us anything. It's free. So we're going to use Supabase as a database to store all the information about the clients and so on in a secure environment. So it's not just public to free with access, so on. So we're going to sign up here. We're going to log in, and I'm going to do this in a second. Since I already have an account, I'm just going to use this one and just create a new project within a paid one, just because I have more functionalities and so on, and it's already connected with my Claude Code, so I don't have to do anything. But just press new project and then sign everything up. You name it, you put your computer size, kind of have it. You can just pick everything normally. I'm just going to call this internal flow click CRM. I'm going to choose my region, my security, and then it does cost me additionally because I already paid for this, but we can also run this on a free plan. So the other way around would be me signing out here and then me creating a new account. I can also sign up to my GitHub where I store all the code, sign in here. So to do this, just press on new project. You do the same thing here, or if you just do it within the main environment, you just press organizations, get the main view, new organization, and then you just set everything up the same way. So just fill this out, pick the free plan for now, then we can proceed with the next step. Now, to navigate the things that you need, you can, I won't share the confidential information here, but essentially you want to navigate to the thing called API keys. There's some other keys as well, like the JWT keys. And you want to add these keys into the Claude Code instance. So here, if you don't know how this works, sometimes you can just say, hey, can you guide me specifically what I need from Supabase? I'm new to the platform, let's say. Anon key. So I go through here, and I basically write this here. And I asked it what I need specifically for Supabase. It will help me guide the exact step. The same thing for the Anthropic or the Google or the Slack and so on. Just ask it to guide you to connect the accounts. It's very straightforward. And as said, I don't want to go into too much specifics, mainly because it can depend if you're using Outlook or if you're using something else. I want this to be very versatile and so on. So you can see, it guides me full step by step. Okay, I need a project URL, I need a secret key, and I need and then store it in the end file. So my local file, which is basically a file where I can store my encrypted keys, don't make it public, cannot make it accessible, or store it in the chat of Claude or Anthropic and their database, and so on. So yeah, these are the exact steps to connect it. So I'm going to do that right now and make sure everything is up and running. So to give you an update of what I'm currently doing with the work here. So essentially, I'm going to each platform. I'm getting the so-called API keys out of the platform. So I'm getting the key. So the CRM system can access all my tools and have everything in one place, because the entire goal here is to make it like a centralized system where we store absolutely everything. So the main goal is that these tools grow together. So I want to have a call, then I update to each specific person and make sure everything's up and running and so on. So that's what I'm currently doing. So pick your tools that we want to connect. So whether you're trying to build with, let's say, Klaviyo, or you're trying to build with HubSpot, or any of your tools, if you're using something else than Fireflies for note-taking, if that's something else like Fathom and so on, find the API keys, connect it, and store it in the end file. So the in this case, it's called .env files, and then store it in there. That's basically it. So gather all your API keys, the things that you need to make sure that this system is specifically custom to you. So I won't go into all details here. All you have to do is just give it the API key, and Claude Code will understand the rest. So the thing that Claude is now doing, It's basically we want to run an SQL editor, which is basically like a search query that finds specific things based on different names. So like if email is in this case like maxi at flowclick.com, it goes that route and it basically finds the records about me and so on. It basically it's like a big search query. So we want to connect that search query. So it's going to give me the SQL, and I'm just going to copy paste this into Supabase. I'm going to show you how this works. So we find our Supabase here. We go into the so-called SQL editor. I'm going to copy paste this, you can see. So we create different contacts, deals lists, activities lists, tasks lists, and so on. And all we're going to do here is we don't have to do anything. We just like copy paste this. And then we're going to run selected. Now I think I might have some errors here. So, okay. You should, of course, run enable errorless. In my opinion, it runs, and then success, no scores returned, no rows returned, and that's it, right? Make sure that it's also secure and so on. We have to make sure that we comply, and of course we own everything and so on and so forth. So go over some details there. I won't worry on that much, but you basically just run this SQL database, and that's basically it. They can go back into Claude Code and keep working on it. We have now run our successful first run with the system. So as you can see, it's currently running on localhost. Localhost essentially means it's running on your computer. So like whenever your computer is on, it's running. However, of course, that's not sustainable in the long run. We have to change and make sure it's run on another server or computer or something somewhere else, which essentially is live all the time. So that would be the next thing here. So we can now open this localhost link, and I recommend you starting with the same thing. So like start by hosting it on your own computer, as long as it's kind of ready to deploy. So if you go to this link now, we can see the system now. It's the first draft ready. We have the companies, the contacts, the pipelines, the follow-ups, everything here with even the pipeline by stage. We have a going quiet, we have overdue follow-ups, needs attention, companies, contacts, pipelines, and so on. And this is only the first draft. Like remember, we have done this under 20 minutes. Have we managed to like basically replicate a simple CRM system that can do the simple and straightforward things. So in settings, we can now connect our Gmail, our Fireflies, our Slack, or Google Calendar. Obviously, I can't share all of this stuff because it will share my company information and so on. But I'm going to keep building on this and improving it by also adding some financial statements, some other systems, and so on to make sure we have everything up and running and like open proposals and so on. So we can keep customizing this however you want. And I'm going to share the final skill in the description below. You can just copy paste without having to go back and forth. But add your logo, add your users and so on. For now, the next step I want to do is host this on my Vercel. Just don't have to run this on my computer. So the thing we want to locate is a platform. You can have multiple different platforms. I like having Vercel. Vercel is basically like a hosting platform. They can essentially have to host different systems. Everything from integrations, have different portals and so on. So you can totally customize this, and you can run on a free plan as well. So just give it the same thing, give it the API keys, and kind of just make it connect, and it will host it on the Vercel for you. So I can just go back to Claude Code here and say, hey, can you please host this on the Vercel for me, or my Vercel in this case. I will automatically connect to a server so I can get access to it as well. Now, one thing I do recommend is, of course, can you also make sure we have logins, please? So not everybody can access it. So like before you start integrating your own platforms and so on, or start making this public, make sure to actually make sure that everything actually runs before, like with security and logins and so on. So not like people can fetch you or find this online and so on. That would be very bad for you. So make sure to create logins, access, those kinds of things before you start launching personal data and connecting everything, and make sure everything's up to date. So yeah, that's the first thing. So I'm going to send this, and it's going to create me some logins so I can keep this more secure before I now host it. As you now can see, we have created this on a live web. So everybody can access it if they want. They can sign into this domain on Reversell, right? It can check my password, so it's set like an automatic password for me, my company name, and then the year. Of course, I have to change the password. That's very obvious here. Then, of course, I haven't connected the calendars and so on yet. But when I go to the web here, as you can see, I have my own domain. So if I share this to people, they can also sign in. So it's now accessible to multiple people. And then if I put flow click 2026, I can sign in and I have everything here behind a login at least. So it's a bit more secure and so on. I'm going to keep building of this. And the next step for me is to now create a financial board that essentially tracks all my expenses, all income payments, and so on to make sure that those things are up to date. So I'm going to say, I want to create a financial board, essentially pick the one from, in this case, it's going to be, I have this already, so I'm just going to duplicate it, and then you can have the same thing yourself. In this case, take the one from the YouTube Vercel tracker and just duplicate the exact same thing, but put it under my new system, please, the one that tracks all the financial systems. Then that's basically it, I think, because it understands the rest. I also want to connect, or let's do that later, I guess. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to now press send, and it's going to build my financial tracker as well. And I just keep building this to make it personal to myself, and keep everything up to date, basically. We have now as well managed to create some financial statements. I just put these random clients, random numbers, and so on. Monthly breakdowns, expenses, net profit, some platforms as well, which I don't really use all of them, but yeah. I just put these random numbers just so you can understand the breakdown here on how everything works, like monthly subscriptions, full cost breakdown all time, Supabase for $2,000 and so on, or 2,000 kroners and so on. So yeah, that's going to break down the financial stuff. Obviously, you can play around with this. I just put in some random numbers, some random tools, just so you can get an understanding of how it could look like potentially. Of course, play around with this stuff. Make it custom to yourself, add things you need, connect like QuickBooks and so on. I'm going to do that after the video here. Obviously, I won't share everything. So that's kind of like a rough idea how you can easily connect everything, monthly breakdowns, yearly breakdowns, understand all financial stuff and so on as well. And of course, you can connect to Stripe as well. I'm going to do that after the video as well. I can connect my Stripe, my clients, and monthly payments and so on, just so it knows everything on that end as well. So we now have the advisor, the financial stuff, where I can basically ask some questions, which obviously ideally I would have in more in-depth here. We have the main dashboard, the companies, and so on. Now it's just more about like keep working on this, right? Keep improving, keep adding more stuff, make it more personal, making my brand colors. Like the entire goal here of this video isn't to make that everything like step by step and like have this exact template. I want you to kind of free your own wings and play around with with the tool yourself and understand kind of the core foundations. So you can just like chat with the Claude Code, say specifically what you want to implement, and then from there you can keep working on it. So let's say like, hey, I want to add this stuff. I want to add this integration. I want you to kind of think for yourself. Think, what systems do I need in here? Do I want to connect my Slack? Do I want to connect my Teams? Do I want to connect my proposal systems through like PandaDoc or whatever you use? The main goal here is to just add the core principles. What I'm going to do now, I also want to add another thing, which for me is super important, is the outreach trackers. So I'm going to go back to Claude Code and say like, here's all the things I want to add. Now I'm basically saying, hey, I want to add some outreach trackers to keep track of my goals, add an outreach tracker that does everything for me and so on, and add the numbers with the outreach, use my YouTube Vercel app. So I have another application which I've done this for. I'm just going to copy paste that to save both you and me time, so you can use it yourself as well if you want to later down the line. As said, it's going to find the things for me and so on. And yeah, if you're doing ads, connect your ads. If you're doing something else, connect that as well, right? Make it personal to yourself and connect the tools that you currently use on a daily basis. As we now can see, we have managed to create the outreach tracker as well. So I added cold email, I added Upwork, and I added manual outreach. I mean, you can add whatever you want. The main goal here isn't to have like this specific platform. as said before, I want you to just understand how easy this is. I just said I want to create an outreach tracker, do this for me, and it did everything for me. So if I go back to the system and check everything out live, if we have a new tab, as you can see here, it's called the Outreach tab. Within this tab, we have our stats, we can now track. We have monthly, we have goals, we have streaks. We can add new logs. Let's say I did 3 manual outreaches today. I save the update. It gets added here. Let's say there's some upper caps, compounds above. Super straightforward. That's how easy it is to create these kinds of platforms. I have done maybe 5-6 prompts in total since we started. And under 30 minutes, we have created a financial platform, a CRM platform, a outreach platform, and keep everything at one place. Like we can keep building out this and keep making it 10 times better. The main goal here isn't to like, I show you and build you the exact system that you should copy. I want you to build your own system and make sure it's custom to you, the way you work, using Claude Code as a language tool here, and just saying the things that you want to get done in the English language. I mean, you can do whatever you want in here. You can put settings, you can customize the things, you have different integrations. Just say whatever you want integrated, and Claude Code will help you build the thing. So I'm going to basically end it here because I think you have the foundations on how to actually create your own CRM system. I want you to go into Claude Code, say whatever things you want done, and go in more depth. You can change the interface. You can make it look however you want. I mean, I have multiple different examples of me building all kinds of tools that look in a very different way. It's all up to you on how you prefer the interface. Some prefer it like this. You can make it much more premium, much more slick. I mean, the interface isn't the most important part. The most important part is making it functional and that you can use it on a daily basis. So that's the major part here. And I want you to go in here, play around with it, add your tools, just say whatever you want to get done. It will do the thing for you. Like I just go into Claude Code. I say like, here's the things I want to get done. Maybe I want to connect something else. I want to connect my meta ads. I say, I want to connect my meta ads. Something I also want added in this case, let's say I want to integrate another tool which tracks my social media and its followers, mainly YouTube and mainly LinkedIn. Also, other platforms if I want, like Facebook, whatever, and it does the thing for me. You have some of it under the YouTube Resell tool, and it's going to also track my YouTube if that's the case. So I already have a YouTube tool actually, and I can very easily just connect this with my total views, with everything else, and make sure I have my YouTube stats, and you can see how like scripts, videos, ideas, trends, webhooks, and everything I need to know to actually see the performance and keep track of that part as well. So it's so easy to build custom solutions nowadays. Make sure to spend time on it because I think it's the highest leverage thing you can do in 2026. So good luck. Play around with it. Download my skill down below. And if you want even further help, I'm happy to jump on a call, go in more details, and just advise you on how to build it further or build it for you if you don't want to spend no time on this. Just say whatever you want, send me a message, and I'm happy to create you some drafts as well on how it could potentially look like for your company. So yeah, thank you, wishing you all the best, and good luck on the platform.